NASCAR is about to get shaken up big time as NASCAR's annual free agent feast, dubbed as Silly Season, began sooner than usual. JTG Daugherty Racing announced in early May that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had signed a multi-year contract extension, retaining the former Daytona 500 winner with the organization that had revitalized his career. Just days after Stenhouse's agreement was announced, Spire Motorsports surprised the driver market by signing Michael McDowell away from Front Row Motorsports to a multi-year contract. More major movements are undoubtedly on the way in the coming weeks and months, with many teams looking to grow, at least one team contemplating stopping operations, one team appearing to be reorganizing, and this all while a charter agreement between NASCAR and its teams is still to be finalized. You hear that right? One team might be gone next year, and it isn't a small one either. Could this become NASCAR's biggest shock this year? It's an open secret around the garage that Stewart Haas Racing co-owners Tony Stewart and Gene Haas are thinking about selling their 4 charters. SHR is also discussing selling or leasing all or part of its headquarters in Kannapolis, North Carolina, where it now owns 2 buildings. Front Row Motorsports has emerged as the frontrunner to buy one of SHR's charters, according to various team sources. While without naming SHR explicitly, FRM General Manager Jerry Freese stated that the Bob Jenkins-owned business is considering adding a team. "I think we're always looking to expand, to be honest with you, and I think this year there's a lot of chatter about that," Freese said. "Bob has this desire to be 3 cars. We were at one time, and I think he had a lot of regret that we sold the 1 charter we had." Any agreement between FRM and SHR is anticipated to result in FRM relocating to one of SHR's 2 campus buildings. FRM's existing facility is insufficient to accommodate 3 full-time Cup teams and 1 full-time Truck Series team. "The truth is, we're kind of space challenged where we're at with what we're doing today," Freese said. "We could make it work with 3 Cup teams out of our shop, but we'd have to find a new home for the truck team, so I think for us to expand we've got to look at building options." If FRM gets one of SHR's charters, what happens to the other 3? Does it further downsize or totally close its doors? SHR's contract with Ford expires at the end of the season, therefore a manufacturer arrangement is required if the team is to remain beyond 2024. This is the time of year when such alliances are formed. The fact that SHR has no agreement for 2025 suggests that its days as a Cup team may be numbered. What are your thoughts on that? According to team sources, SHR is likely to remove itself of all 4 charters, and the market is brimming with potential purchasers. In addition to FRM, Trackhouse Racing, 23 Kaufman Racing, Legacy Motor Club, and Richard Childress Racing are all reported to be charter shopping, to differing degrees. Many of SHR's employees have publicly or privately admitted to being concerned about their futures as a result of the uncertainty surrounding the organization. The team has suggested to staff that it wants to make a decision before the end of the month. SHR's driver roster includes Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, Noah Gragson, and Ryan Preece. Berry has 1 year left on his deal, Briscoe has a team option, and Preece is set to become a free agent. When Gragson joined with SHR in the summer, his contract was reported as multi-year, but he stated this past weekend that his return is uncertain. "The main focus is running good, and hopefully the opportunity presents itself," stated Gragson. "I definitely think there's a lot of stuff up in the air right now on what the future looks like over here, at SHR, and a lot of question marks. Briscoe would be in high demand if he entered the market." One team official stated that the 29-year-old is the type of guy that you find a way to sign even if you don't have a spot. The executive emphasized that Briscoe, in his 4th season, is flourishing despite all of the unknowns surrounding SHR, surpassing numerous drivers on larger teams in more solid conditions. He is now in the last playoff spot at the midway mark of the regular season. Briscoe has long-standing links to Ford, which he stated he would explore if he needed to find a new team. Ford would undoubtedly love to retain Briscoe in its camp. One widely touted option is Briscoe joining Wood Brothers Racing, a Ford-backed team looking for a new driver. The match makes a lot of sense for all sides, but it is unlikely to materialize right now. Berry and Gragson should also have alternatives because they've had successful seasons and are sponsored. According to industry insiders, Cole Custer and Riley Herbst are also prospects for a ride on an enlarged FRM squad. Justin Marks, the owner of Trackhouse Racing, has lofty aspirations for the team to develop beyond its current 2 cars, and Trackhouse will need to expand to accommodate all of the Cup-ready drivers it has on contract. Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez now drive for Trackhouse, while Cup rookie Zane Smith is on loan to Spire, and Shane Van Gisbergen is progressing in the Xfinity Series with Colleague Racing. Smith has already declared that he would not return to Spire next season, with Van Gisbergen indicating that he will move up to Cup full-time. How does Trackhouse address the logjam? Chastain is on a multi-year contract and providing good performance. He isn't going anywhere. Neither is Suarez, who is completing a contract extension, according to individuals familiar with the situation. "We're working on it," Suarez explained. "Everything is looking good. I don't think there is much I can mention right now, but it's moving in the right direction." Smith and Van Gisbergen have to find a place to stay. However, Trackhouse may not be authorized to acquire 4 charters. According to team sources briefed on the topic, the proposed conditions of the charter deal that teams are discussing with NASCAR include a stipulation limiting teams to holding 3 charters. Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports will be grandfathered in. This implies that even if Trackhouse acquires a 3rd charter as predicted, it will still be 1 team short, and one of Smith or Van Gisbergen will have to be moved elsewhere. Will Van Gisbergen remain with Xfinity for another year? Does he advance to the Kaulig Cup program, or has Smith relocated over there? And what about SHR? Could they really leave the Cup Series? What do you think? Apart from the teams having to choose what to do, we've also got some drivers to make a choice, including some big names. Martin Truex Jr. has been debating whether to retire for the previous 3 summers. The 2017 Cup champion faces a similar situation this year. Truex often talks little, preferring not to reveal his hand. Similar to prior years, 2 major elements influence his decision. Is he having fun, and is he running competitively? Truex, 43, says he's mostly satisfied with his 19th season. Though, like many veterans, his patience has been challenged by the next-gen car. And the fact that he is second in points with the second-best average finish demonstrates that he is still competitive, even if he has not won since last July. "The team is doing a good job, and we've been fast," Truex stated. "So hopefully I get to break through and get that first win here quickly." According to insiders, Truex is expected to return, but if he decides to retire, Joe Gibbs Racing has 2 in-house candidates who will likely be considered as replacements: Aric Almirola and Chandler Smith, both of whom are part of JGR's Xfinity Series operations. If JGR chooses a veteran who has won a cup, has postseason experience, and can come in to keep the number 19 squad competitive, Almirola meets that requirement. Smith fits the bill if JGR is willing to accept a young star with little experience but a lot of potential. Corey Heim, Toyota's top prospect who filled in brilliantly for the injured Eric Jones at Legacy Motor Club during 2 races this spring, is another name to keep an eye on. Next to Martin Truex Jr. deciding what to do, we've also got Bubba Wallace. When Bubba Wallace announced last summer that 2024 was his contract year at 23 Racing, most expected him and the team to agree on an extension. Wallace is anticipated to return to the club co-owned by Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan for a 5th year. "We're close. We're very close," Hamlin said about the prospect of resigning Wallace. So, that's all I have for now, but what are your thoughts on all this? Could we see some shocking changes coming through in the upcoming weeks and maybe even months? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.